You are the first class to graduate on my watch as Darden's 9th Dean, and I will always feel a special bond with you. I will always remember seeing you today on the lawn in our UNESCO World Heritage Site with the rotunda behind you as I looked out. Did you all know that there are only 3 man-made UNESCO World Heritage Sites in North America? Statue of Liberty, Independence Hall, and the University of Virginia. That's amazing. I will also never forget seeing Jefferson right there, staring at me right across the lawn over your shoulders. Today I stand before you as your dean, but I also stand before you as someone who, like you are about to become, was once a newly minted MBA with dreams. I had big dreams. When I was standing in your place in what seems just like yesterday, I was a newlywed and a freshly minted MBA with about $100,000 in debt. If you normalize that today, it's over 200. But I wanted it all. I wanted to maintain my friends, wanted to stay close with my family. I wanted to raise a family. I wanted to be a good person. I wanted to pursue my passions and my love for sports. I wanted to take epic vacations. I wanted to earn plenty of money. I wanted to pay back my loans as fast as possible. I wanted to have an undeniably successful career at a great company. And generally, I just wanted to have a good life. And as you are about to do, I dared to chase this dream, and it took me all over the world. Over 26 years at the management consultancy McKinsey & Company, I traveled to over 40 countries, riding the global wave of broadband and the internet, and then focusing my work later on strategy and leadership development. Ultimately, my pursuit led me to the firm's peak as a senior partner on the board of directors, and then here to an amazing new life chapter at Darden. What I didn't know then was what a challenge it was to want it all and to stay in balance. Today, as you contemplate your journey ahead, I believe each of you will be challenged to be an équilibriste. In French, this literally means a person in balance. But it actually refers to someone who walks on a tightrope. As you leave Darden, you begin a journey that will test you as an équilibriste on the tightrope of life. The hard part is that life has one major constraint: a 24-hour day and the limited number of seconds that each of us has here on the earth. To make it more interesting, there are many unknowns. You must figure out how to stay balanced on many levels, and it is a moving target. Over the New Year's holiday, I read a fantastic book, David Brooks' recent book called The Road to Character. It resonated very strongly with me. In it, he describes that for many achievers, life is organized a little bit like a business plan. There is a specific answer and an objective that can be known in advance. For many of you, it might have looked something like this: get outstanding grades in high school to get into a top college, so that you can get a top job, so that you can get into a top graduate school, so that you can get a better job. As David Brooks put it, if you define a realistic purpose early on and execute your strategy flexibly, you will wind up leading a purposeful life. You will have achieved self-determination of the sort captured in the oft-quoted lines from William Ernest Henley's poem Invictus. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. However, life may call you in an unexpected way. Some of the elements in life's equation you are solving may move from a given to a variable. The context which had once seemed so stable and sure can morph, such as when a crisis or war or tragedy changes your setting dramatically. While for moments of your life you may be the master of your own destiny, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't have a crystal ball. Life may call you to rise to an occasion or wake you up to what is really important. For me, that happened when my mother died suddenly 24 years ago of pancreas cancer. My equation changed at that moment in time. Her death made me realize how precious each second is on this earth. Will you be open to what the circumstances of life may be asking you? To reference H. Jackson Brown, I believe that inside each of you is a hero awaiting the call to action. Be open to the call. Listen to the small voice inside of you. How will you balance self-determination and the serendipity of life? L'équilibriste considers what inspires him or her. It is hard to be in balance without any inspiration. Take a close look at who inspires you and why. I draw inspiration from my Nana, my astrophysicist grandmother, who always saw the good in people. I admire Ron Daniel, the former CEO of McKinsey, who focused the firm in the old days on mission, values, and servant leadership. I'm inspired by Nelson Mandela, who was called to fight apartheid and could have sought revenge, but decided not to. What do you want to be admired for? How will you measure your success? Will you define yourself by winning at work? Or will you seek a broader definition and work to win at what life is calling you to do? The sweet spot is to find both. A couple of years ago, I had the privilege to work at the Louvre in Paris with Ben Zanter. He's the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra and author of the book, The Art of Possibility. We had a lively discussion about the definition of success, which he says is an equation that only you can define. In his words, it's a game. I found this concept to be incredibly liberating. When defining my goals, I began to consider not just work, but my whole life. Although I wanted it all when I graduated from business school, my work ended up being better. McKinsey ended up being better at competing for my time and mind share than the other idealistic aspirations I had held when I graduated. Thanks to Ben Zander's reframing, my metrics shift from performance evaluations to being a role model for my kids, being a greater force in my family, and also to making other people successful. Sure, I needed to work hard and earn money, but by shifting my focus to make others successful, I found much greater happiness and balance. The lesson here is that reframing is amazingly powerful. You define and redefine your success metrics, and you can keep doing it. The équilibriste must always work to stay on the tightrope. I'd like to share that staying in balance on the journey requires at least 3 things: trade-offs and defaults, managing your energy, and staying true to your personal values and character. As you go, be aware of the trade-offs you are making. There is always a cost. For example, work will always expand to fill the time you allot it. You can stay in balance and steer toward the right trade-offs by setting the right defaults. Defaults are the passive commitments we make that we seldom notice or even consciously choose. Like immediately checking your social media when you look at a computer or a phone. You can reset your defaults to guide yourself towards habits for success. In your life, is exercise a default? What about vacation? Investing in knowledge? Do you have any structured, unstructured time in your agenda? If your definition of success is happiness, don't forget that it might be something as simple as the Chinese maxim: someone to love, something to do, and something to hope for. What are your defaults? Energy. The équilibriste must keep his or her energy in balance. One of my great lessons learned is that managing your energy is more important than managing your time. To paraphrase Jim Lohr, author of the seminal article, The Corporate Athlete, there are 4 types of energy: spiritual, emotional, physical, and intellectual. There are sources and drains on each one of these dimensions, and the équilibriste needs to balance each of them. I'm the kind of person who naturally gives a lot, so it is very easy for someone like me to deplete my energy. My father once told me, when I was trying to be Superman and running myself into the ground, that if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be any good to anyone else. For me, this translated into sleeping a bit more, playing tennis again after stopping for 20 years, and singing. 3 things that give me huge energy to overcome energy drains like negative people or overnight plane flights. Too many people do not believe that they have enough time. But by managing energy, time can be economized. It took me almost 50 years to figure it out. Maybe you'll be quicker learners. But while working on my doctorate, I discovered that I was a much better and more energetic writer early in the morning versus in the evening. I had assumed that I could only write at night after everything else was done. Wrong. Actually, I figured out that I could write about 3 times as fast if I wrote in the morning and hadn't had too much to drink the night before. Managing energy can increase your productivity batting average. Character and values. Dr. Martin Seligman's research on authentic happiness shows that people are most fulfilled when they believe they are leading a meaningful life and are cultivating what is best. That is to say, the character traits a person values most within themselves. When there is alignment between your noble purpose and your life's work, there is fulfillment. So know why you are doing what you are doing. There is a fine line between working toward a noble purpose versus pursuing some external metric, such as money or grades. By focusing on the former, I believe you have a greater chance to achieve the latter. By focusing on extrinsic metrics, you run the risk of climbing a mountain only to realize that you climbed the wrong mountain. We each have a moral compass. We need to ensure it does not get out of balance. And Darden has hopefully prepared you well to be a purposeful and principled leader. So in summary, trade-offs and defaults, managing your energy, and staying true to your personal values and character. Today, we live in a VUCA world, a world that is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. I would argue that that is a great thing. It creates many risks, but with risks come opportunities. As you learned in finance, in an uncertain world, the value of options goes up. The same can be said for your career. Invest in keeping your options open. You may go on to work for 45 more years. For you, you have worked on option value creation through this MBA. For me, that meant getting my doctorate when I was age 50. What will your next investment be? The world has many huge problems that need to be solved, and business will have to help solve many of them. Water, sustainable energy, and agricultural productivity for a bigger world, cures for diseases, creating jobs, and ensuring a sustainable capitalistic model. Business can be a force for good if you decide to make it so. What is the good that you seek to make in the world? That's the big question. Do not worry that you don't know exactly what you will do in 20 years. It would actually be so boring to know. But do think about whether or not you are investing in yourself and have a plan B. One of the great pieces of advice I received from a mentor is that you shouldn't think so much about the job that you're taking next. You should think maybe about what the one after that might be. Your tightrope stretches from here on the lawn at Darden to some unknown future. Life will challenge you and beckons you to fulfill your full potential. May you walk your tightrope as a graceful équilibriste, true to your values and successful in the ever-evolving equation you choose to solve, or that life calls you to pursue. In the words of Star Trek's Mr. Spock, may each of you in the great class of 2016 live long and prosper.